Kaugnay naman po sa balita sa utos ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na i-review ang mga labor agreements ng Kuwait at Pilipinas. Makausap po natin si Migrant Workers Secretary Ms. Susan Ople. Magandang gabi, ma'am, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, good evening, Ka-Ed.
Good evening po at maraming salamat po for taking our call. Ma'am, yung sinasabi po ng Pangulo na gusto niyang ipa-review yung mga labor agreements because of what happened, exactly what are we looking at po? Ano pong klase mga labor agreements itong gusto niyang i-review?
Yes, gusto namin tingnan kung may pwedeng ilagay na additional safeguard doon sa existing na bilateral labor agreement natin sa Kuwait. 2018 pa kasi yun,
Yes, ma'am.
and it's really due for a review and to enhance yung protective mechanisms, safeguards for the rights of our migrant workers.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, but earlier you were quoted as having expressed your you're not being in favor of deployment ban. Does that still stand po? Itong review is not does not necessarily mean that deployment ban is on the table. Tama ho ba?
Yes, I think it's the unified position of the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of Migrant Workers na magkaroon ng bilateral labor talks, and the Kuwait government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is willing and based sa conversation ng ating ambassador, si Ambassador Cabrera at yung Minister of Foreign Affairs, they agree that it's time to talk. And yung date na lang at yung venue ng talk will be up for discussion but between our embassy and the MFA.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, just to be clear, I'm sorry if it's repetitious, pero just to be clear po, bale, yung deployment ban is not on the table. It is not on the
That
table.
is the position of both the DFA and the DMW. So this means that we would we are looking at labor diplomacy
Yes, ma'am.
to strengthen our earlier bilateral labor agreement and also to discuss additional safeguards for our workers.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you earlier referenced yung 2018 labor agreements that were actually the result of yung unang deployment ban na pinataw pagkatapos mapatay si Dimafelis, if I recall correctly. Among other things, recognition of rights of overseas workers, no more confiscation of passports, the right of workers to use phones, food, housing, clothing, health insurance, no transferring without consent, and contract renewals subject to approval by the POEA. Are we looking at any major amendments or additions to these agreements already that we mentioned, and what would these be?
We are looking also at the Saudi model of a joint whitelisting and blacklisting of employers and recruitment agencies by both sides. And we are also hoping na merong very strong mechanism for bilateral cooperation. Hindi yung once a year lang mag-uusap. And sa Saudi Arabia nga, we have weekly meetings with yung counterparts ng aking mga undersecretaries. So we are hoping that we can ask or request the Kuwait government to set up a similar system na we can have regular, hindi siya consultation but regular implementation dialogues. So that kung may cases of abuse, cases of maltreatment, we can bring the attention directly to our counterparts and expect appropriate action.
Yeah. Ma'am, if you compare yung sitwasyon ng 2018 dun sa sitwasyon now in 2023, are there significant differences?
That's not for me to say. I would have to look at the numbers.
Mhm. 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 Pero at least as far as relations between the two and interaction between the two governments are
I
concerned
would have
in addressing.
I would have greater direct experience and information once we begin and complete our bilateral talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember, this is just our 7th month yata as a
Yeah,
department.
that's
Yes,
also true.
oo. Oo.
Well, ma'am, maraming salamat po for joining us tonight and thank you very much for taking our call.
Thank
Ingat
you,
po parati
Jen.
and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Secretary Tuts Ople ng Department of Migrant Workers. Maraming salamat po.